I've been stuck on some old habits. Stress eating is one of my biggest enemies. So I'm challenging myself to face this and I want to bring you with me. So here's the challenge. Today I'm testing this book. It said addiction on the title, so I picked it up because I've been battling with food for such a long time. So I want to see if what it teaches inside will be useful. Will it help me from impulsively eating large amounts of food? Will it help in moments where I get stressed and I want to use that tool again? And will I know what to do instead of comfortably relying on my most used tool? Also, as a bonus, I want to tell you something that I've tried that has made me not think about my addiction for at least a couple hours. It feels like I had a clear mind and like a weight was lifted off me. And it's something a lot of books have told me to do, and I was just stubborn about doing it because it seemed like a lot for me to do, and I was a little scared of it, but now I actually tried it, and I'm going to tell you about the results in the video. But first, here are the methods from the book that I'll try this. But first, here are the methods from the book that I'll be using so I can stop relying on my addiction. So first, I'll make tea because it's calming. Second, around 2 p.m., I'll go to my couch and I'll go around that time because around 11 or 2 p.m., I get these cravings to eat food. Then I noticed that around those times, I did go off the deep end and eat a lot of food. And I think it's because I feel a little lonely around those times because I sort of just graduated and I don't really talk to anyone now. And maybe the loneliness pushes me to eat comfort food instead of just eating a healthy portion that I can track my calories with. And the third thing I will do is set a 20-minute timer while I'm on the couch. I'll use box breathing while focusing on my somatic feelings and grounding my feet into the floor. So, box breathing is basically a way to de stress, and grounding is like focusing how your body feels against a surface, like feeling your butt in the chair, or your back against the chair, or your feet on the floor. And focusing on those feelings has helped me a lot. And then I paired it with deep breathing. It just helped me relax before, so I think it would be good to try. And I'll also be doing this one technique called the 5 4 3 2 1 technique. What you do is you name five things you can see, five things you can hear right now, and you use your other senses also. I've seen methods where you use your other senses too, so you're more in the present moment. And I'll also probably squeeze a stress ball just so I can have that feeling in my hands. It's like that somatic grounding thing where you like are feeling yourself in the chair, but instead I'm using more this my hand. So I'll be even more grounded in the present moment. And I want to write down my thoughts because I do notice myself getting swept up in my emotions. If I'm spiraling, like if I'm being self critical, and maybe that can trigger a binge. And I think writing it down will help me notice what I'm thinking. And then once I know the enemy, I can fight against it because I know what to say. So it's a little bit before 11, and I'm going to try the things I talked about earlier. So I'll get back to you when I'm done. I just finished and it was all right. It still felt like I had to eat. It was just a little, it felt mostly like I was distracting myself because I did feel like I want to eat a lot before that. And then I just wanted to see if this would work. But when I did try the exercises, I focused on it for a bit, but then it went back. My mind went back to the thought of just eating more food. And I try to notice how I was thinking by journaling, but then when I try to analyze it, it was just my conscious thoughts were just saying to just eat, and that was it. There was no self-deprecating thoughts that were sending me in like a negative spiral and mood that made me want to seek comfort. The grounding was nice, but in the back of my mind, all I could think about was that I was just trying to distract myself. So it's future me here while editing. And I've read the book more, and there's more tools that do want to use in this. I want to make a part two of that of using these different tools because I already did try it and they actually did work, and I felt more relief than what I did just now. What I tried was more focusing on the emotional side. I peeled back the layers of what I was thinking about. So in my head, I was like, I'm just thinking about food, but then I used these certain tools to actually dig deeper into what I was thinking about. And I realized there was so much more to what I was doing, and food was just a thought hovering. It was like the tip of the iceberg, and then everything else underneath. And once I noticed and figured out I was feeling all those feelings underneath, I felt a lot more calm. I'll talk about that more in depthly. So if you want to see that, subscribe because I'll probably be posting a part two. And plus, I'll be talking about that bonus thing I was talking about in the beginning of the video. And I think that bonus with this will help me so much. To be honest, I've gained a lot of weight in the past year, and it's kind of embarrassing to say how much, but I feel like this will give me hope, and I think I can actually do something about it now. I have a plan. So let me stop talking from the future me and let me tell you what the bonus is. Before I say what the bonus is, I want you to think about your. And if you're like me, you probably want to do everything on your own. You have that superhero syndrome, and I don't. And for me, I realized just by the way I acted, I didn't want to rely on anyone for these certain needs. And I didn't know it then, but fulfilling these needs could actually lift the weight off me and make it a lot easier to lose weight. But the whole reason I didn't go for these certain needs is because 9 out of 10 times it felt like I was let down. And the needs I needed were emotional support. So I heard a lot of the times in the books that it would be a good thing to go to support groups. So one thing happened in my life, and I realized I was pushing people away when they had vulnerable moments. And to some people, it can feel like I'm abandoning them at a crucial time. And I feel like most friends would value loyalty. So I wanted to learn how to stop avoiding people in those moments. So that's what pushed me in here. And that hidden bonus is what I'll tell you about. It helped me in this way that I didn't know it could help me in. And it was a lot easier to lose weight. Or it was a lot easier to not think about food. So when I went in the support group, I did have the problem they felt. Like I didn't just join any random support group. And it was an online one, by the way. And I think it was relieving because for most of my life, I've been told that I was weak and crazy for having my problems. But a lot of other people had it too. So it was like, are they all weak? Probably not. We just went through the same things. And this lifted a weight from me. It was like shame kind of was like slowly releasing from me every time someone shared their story. And I think that that inner shame that I'm not really paying attention to, it's just so deep rooted that I don't even notice that it's there. It was lifted for a bit, and I didn't have to think of my escape mechanism, aka food. Think about the caveman times. We were raised in a small, tight knit village. Though your parents didn't just raise you, it was a whole village of people. So it's like what this support group is. You can't just rely on one person for your needs, your partner or someone, that one person you find really reliable. It's just like it's a whole different thing when you rely on other multiple people sharing vulnerable things. So I was there. I joined up at 11 a.m. and because I was nervous, I had two granola bars and I drank some coffee just to calm some nerves, and because I wasn't used to sharing like that to other people. What I said about not being able to be there for others when it got hard for them emotionally, I just told myself to combat that. I told myself to just open up. I told myself it's okay to feel uncomfortable at first. And then I heard all these relatable things that they were saying, and I was like, this is pretty decent. And that's when I felt, after the meeting happened, I felt pretty relieved. And I was thinking to myself that if I actually did talk instead of just listening, I told myself I would give myself permission to just listen in as a first step. And then gradually I'll start talking and sharing my story. And that will probably be even more relieving than just listening. And I think that combined with the tools I talked about earlier, well, not the ones in this part one video, it's probably the part two video about the emotionally focused tools. I think port groups and that will help a lot. And I didn't even eat that much. I wasn't even thinking about it. I ate one ice cream cone because it was just there, and I ate some chicken nuggets because it was just there. And that was from 1 p.m. because I took a nap after the support group. So I woke up around 1, ate those stuff throughout 1 and 9. So some ice cream, yogurt, and chicken nuggets, and like a 1 cup of Arizona tea, which doesn't sound, which saying it now sounds like a lot, but I just ate it and drank that stuff because it was there. I didn't feel the need to run away from my inner emotions and just eat a bunch of food. There was no need for that distraction. There was no need to focus on food and going from one food to another. And I didn't feel that need. And I think that makes it a lot easier because what if I combine that feeling of not needing food and not needing a distraction with an actual disciplined time of eating and a disciplined meal with me counting the calories and all that, it'd be so much easier. It'd be like 5 times easier to stick to a balanced diet. Don't quote me on this, but I've read a bunch, and I think social isolation can raise blood pressure, can also raise risk in other things like obesity. When I say social isolation, you could talk to people, do small talk, but you could still feel lonely in a room full of people. So I would say combating social isolation is talking to people and not just small talk. It's talking way deeper than that and bonding together and feeling like you're not alone. And I think for me as a kid, eating a lot was a way of comforting the loneliness, comforting the emotional loneliness I felt because I was told I was crazy for feeling so like that. So I learned not to be vulnerable. But as people, we're supposed to be vulnerable with each other. It's relieving to do that. So I had to face it on my own. And like the only thing I knew was food is pretty good and it was always around with me. So did I show up perfectly? Just started being disciplined all of a sudden? No, not really. But I showed up, and that's a win for me. And I think combining this with what I learned, and I think combining what I learned with some more traditional things like just counting calories and all that, it'll make the comeback a lot easier. It's for me, it's not being perfect. It's about taking the next step, and that's what I want to do.